Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Machine Show. And yet another very special guest today. I like to have these special guests, Sherry Davies of TJ Davies. Sherry, welcome to the show.
Hi, Chris. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
No problem, no problem. So Sherry and I go back a little bit, a few years. I was lucky enough to help her out making some parts for her, a couple of operations here or there. But Sherry's got a really interesting story on her company, the history of her company, and then even how she got involved and got into the business. This is a family business, right, Sherry? You are the
It
Davies
is.
in
Yeah.
TJ Davies.
Yep. Second generation.
Awesome, awesome. So why don't you take a minute, introduce yourself, and let the audience know a little bit about you.
Okay. Sherry Davies. I'm currently living in Chagrin Falls, Ohio. Our business is in Manaway, Ohio. I grew up in the greater Cleveland area. I left in 1999 to pursue education and a career, which landed me in Alexandria, Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. And through the years, when I come to visit, I would stop in the shop and see my dad and, see the operation and whatnot. And when my dad passed away in 2018, I took over the business. So I moved back, retired from my position as a CFO of the Washington Metropolitan Council of Governments, and moved back to take over the business. I knew really nothing about metal or manufacturing, but I had a good enough business background to be able to, I thought, take over and, just kind of learn as I go about metal and metal processes and that type of a manufacturing environment. So I took over in 2019, officially in 2019 when I moved back. At the end of 20, and I think I met you right during that period, Chris, right when I had moved back. We wanted to launch some sockets to go with our retention knobs. And I reached out to Chris for his expertise in that area of the milling of it. And that's how we met.
Right, I remember. So how did the business get started? What's your dad's story?
Well, my parents actually met. They were high school sweethearts. My dad left after school. He went to the Navy. My mom stayed, and then while he was still in the Navy after she graduated. They got married when he got out of the Navy. They moved from Youngstown, Ohio, to the Cleveland area, and my dad started working for Warner and Swayze. And then his parents actually did a home equity line of credit and gave my dad the money to buy his first machine. And then Lerner gave my dad a bunch of work, and he started as a job shop. And that was back in the 60s, in 1965, actually, to be exact. And so dad did job shop work for years. And then Mazak, which is out of Kentucky, approached my dad to make retention knobs for them. And that's how we got started in the retention knob business.
Interesting.
And so ever since that, so we were actually the first manufacturer to make them on lathes. And so we made the Mazak ones, and then we started making more and more and more. And now we have our whole product line. But I mean, I remember as a kid, my dad always saying, that with the job shop, it's either feast or famine. So while we want to do the job shop stuff, we need our own product line. And that's where he focused all his energy and time, was in developing the retention knobs, the retention knob part of the business. And he actually completely gave up the job shop work because we were busy enough with the retention knobs. And we still are. We're doing really well. But I'm super ambitious. And so now I'm starting to look for job shop work also. When we bought our building in 2021, we tripled our size with the plan to grow. And so now we have plenty of space to grow. We purchased some new Mazak machines, and we're going to start doing, other people's work. Mainly, I want to just go after DoD work, some like long-term contracts where it's just you get a machine, you set it up, and it runs, kind of thing.
Right, right. And that was one that, that's one of the things that kind of where we have in common is that we're a Mazak shop too. And so it's kind of a small little community here in Cleveland. Everybody that has the Mazak kind of tends to know each other.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
listen, to have your
you're
own product line.
like your father-in-law. I mean, he bought
Yeah,
the best back in the day. Back in the day, unless it was Mazak, you didn't buy it. I mean,
I bet.
that's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And listen,
which
those
we're now
machines,
benefiting from that.
yeah, those machines are still on the shop floor. So
They are, and they hold the
you
tightest
know,
tolerances.
yeah, yeah. But listen, to have your own product line, comparing that to a job shop situation, which we are at March Machine exclusively a job shop situation. So I live that like feast or famine lifestyle, and it's a challenge. So that's one of the couple of things that I kind of admire about you, Sherry, is the fact that yeah, you do have this product line that you've got that consistent work.
Mhm.
And visiting your facility yesterday, the new facility now, I was really impressed with the
Oh, thank
organization
you.
of everything. And look, you have a skill, I think, that you definitely have a skill that I don't have. And I don't know if a lot of people, some of us people in this industry, these smaller shops, how you're going after these grants and the government work and all of that kind of administrative stuff that might be something kind of left over from your former life and your former career. But
Yeah.
it's a massive piece of value that you add to that company that obviously is showing in your growth. So I think that
Growth.
that's
Yeah.
really, really cool.
Oh, well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, I'm, because of the space I came from, well, during the pandemic, we were awarded a $125,000 grant from the state of Ohio to reshore and retool, and we actually made masks and face masks for the state during that period. And we've gotten a couple other ones. I just got a UPS. Did their program through Kellogg University and received another $10,000 grant through them. And I mean, I look for money, and I look for opportunity to help us grow in any way we can by purchasing this building in the location that we're at in Portage County. Portage County gave me a grant to move from where we were in Geauga County to Portage County. So there's a lot of money out there, and these small business owners, I'd love to form a group or help, but there's money out there. You just have to know where to look to and go get it.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a little maybe tip or nugget
Okay.
or just thought. Throw this in your mind. On in the real estate space, there's really in real estate and in sales and that kind of industry, there's a lot of there's a lot of courses. There's really a lot of
Okay.
courses on everything that you can buy. You go online and people are putting these courses together. I bet if you sat down and came up with like a little curriculum on how to get those grants and like navigate that process, that could be another pillar of income for you just by doing that. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, listen, that's very, very fascinating. So one of the questions I try to ask on these shows is what's your biggest challenge right now? We're in manufacturing. What's your challenge?
I would say twofold. One is time and one is labor. I get up every morning with this expectation of, oh, I'm going to get all this stuff done, and I feel like I lose my day, and so I have to reclaim my time all the time. And that's the biggest thing. Time is the greatest equalizer. And so, before I know it, it's 7 o'clock at night and I'm still here. And then I go home and I log in and I do more work. We've always been, and there's a lot of values that my dad set up that I still follow to this day. And one of them is we've never had any layoffs, anything like that. And so he always hired as he really, really, really needed somebody, as opposed to just hiring somebody. That way, you never, you keep your expenses under control and a good fitting. And so I probably need to hire somebody else, but until I'm like, here till midnight, I probably won't do that. So time is the big one. And then in labor, it's a very different market. people change jobs in this industry so frequently, and it's like we value our employees and we want to grow them and we want to educate them, and but you do for 2 or 3 years and then they're off. So just trying to find somebody good to start with is a challenge, because they're just not that. I mean, I don't know the labor market I don't know the history behind it all. So I'm, still trying to catch up on that, but it's hard to find people. It truly is.
Yeah. It's a theme. I mean, I think that's a theme definitely in our industry where, there's that skilled labor gap. But really, I think anywhere, it just seems like every industry is just having trouble finding that quality talent. Um, maybe the talent is out there, but it's the work ethic and
You can't teach that, Chris.
you can't teach it. There's
Yeah.
a
Right.
character flaw out there that's permeating society
Mhm.
that I don't know what the answer is. And machinists, I think that I might get in trouble with saying this, but I think machinists are kind of a special breed, especially the skilled ones, because it is a highly skilled trade.
Mhm.
And when you're dealing with these really super tight tolerances and metals, and there's a lot of room for error, there's a lot of science there, and there's a lot of you got to be patient. If you're one of these really high strong guys, it's kind of hard to kind of keep your head about you. But it's you know in order to be successful, a lot of the times you kind of have to have a little ego, really, with in anything. If you want to be the top of your game, you got to have a little chip on your shoulder. You got to have a little ego, and sometimes these guys, their ego gets in the way. And it's hard, and then they jump, and then they say, oh, well, here's a better offer here, here's a better offer, here's another dollar. The wages have increased in the last 5 years exponentially.
Since
And
I've taken over, they
yeah,
have
I mean,
increased.
it's unbelievable. And us shop owners, small shop owners, are trying to make sense of it all. And all we want to do is give everything we possibly can to our people, for a fair reciprocation
Right.
at the same point. So I feel you on that. And it seems like everybody that I'm interviewing and talking to, and just even on the street in the industry, it's all the same thing. It's all the same stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we try. I hired just recently one younger guy that has a little bit of machining experience, not a lot, but I'm going to invest in him.
Yeah.
I'm going to, his work ethic is there. And to me, if that is, like you said, we can't teach that, but he's got it. And so I'm going to gamble and teach him, so Steve, which is my best guy, he's teaching this young kid.
Yeah.
But hopefully, he'll appreciate that, and there will be loyalty and he'll stay long term.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, we got to start someplace. And listen, to have the trainer and then the apprentice in the same building working together, and cooperating and wanting to do what they're doing with each other is, that's half the battle. So
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
what I
Steve
understand,
is really good. And the other thing I have noticed in my short time in the industry is a lot of guys, they don't want to teach you anything.
yeah.
But Steve is the complete opposite. He wants to, he loves to share his knowledge.
Yeah. No, listen, it's important. I think in business these days, we need to have an abundance mindset, and not
Right.
not a scarcity where
Yeah.
you're hiding stuff and you're protecting, you're worried that your job is going to be at stake if somebody, if you show somebody something that they don't know and they get better than you or something like that.
Right.
The big picture, and the people that think bigger picture, I think, will appreciate more the collaboration rather than the collaboration, that kind of breeds competitiveness too. And they kind of work together, and you kind of need that in the shop. You need collaboration, but you need a little competitive edge where the guys are, they want to, like, maybe in a way outdo each other, but for the benefit of the company and the
Right.
benefit of everybody. So
Yeah. Yeah, we
so
have, everybody here gets along really well, which
yeah.
is, no, there have been times since I've had the company that we haven't had that.
Yeah.
And that makes a very uncomfortable workspace for everyone as well. So, you know,
Oh,
as soon as I see it, that's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What, so where do you see the company now moving forward? You touched on a little bit on some of your ambitions, but where do you see
Yeah.
TJ Davies going in the next like 5 years, 10 years?
Well, I mean, I want to continue to focus on our retention knobs. Right now, I'm doing a new catalog, updating the website. We have right now, we have about 120 pieces on our website when we have over 500. So right now I'm just focusing on growing that, and just getting more market share. And then also at the same time, you know, kind of slicing off some of that, the, you know, DoD work, getting some of those contracts,
Mhm.
you know, just to add to it. You know, because we've got the machines. So, you know,
Yeah.
if we can just get something long-term, stick it over there that, you know, and then so that I can kind of grow two areas at the same time. So that's the goal.
Your website, can you order the retention knobs directly on the website, or do we have to
You
call, or how
cannot.
does that work? Okay.
Yeah, we don't. There are websites, Retool Me and Suncoast Tool and like MSC. Like you can go to other websites and buy our product, but our model has always been that we don't sell to end users. We sell to distributors,
Okay, great.
and
Got it.
then the distributor will, you know, my dad, I mean, there were a lot of things that my dad, a lot of like the values and the you know, the business model in the core things I'm not changing, because they've worked for over 50 years. So
Right, right.
I'm not going to change them. Now there's a handful of end users that like little old timer shops that are in Solon that they used to, you know, just walk over to
Walk
the
in.
shop and
Yeah.
buy them. We still sell to those end users. There's a handful of little companies over there, and we're like, yeah, just, you know, we'll drop them off or you come pick them up, or but other than that, we sell just through distributors.
Very
So
cool. So
yeah.
last question for you. What you kind of touched on it, but do you own your building or do you lease it?
Oh, we purchased it. So for whatever reason, my dad was in the same facility, the same building for over 50 years. And when I took over, I want to own the building. I don't want to rent. I
So
want to
he was leasing the old space.
yes, yeah,
Okay, got it.
for the same space for over 50 years.
Wow, that's a lot of rent.
Yeah, I mean, we could have owned the building.
10 times.
Yeah, exactly. So I purchased this 15,000 square foot building and all the acreage behind it. So I've got a total of 18 acres now.
Mhm.
So, and another idea of mine was, and so far, you know, the area needs it and wants it, is to put an industrial parkway back there. And this past fall, I had a road put in. It's you know, I had trees removed, and you know, I'm starting to go down that path to get a road put in. But you know, putting an industrial parkway back there also is another, you know, there's on 14, well, there's back in that area, there's 14 acres that I would use for the industrial parkway. So that's
Wow.
also another could be another, you know, kind of source of revenue as well.
Excellent.
But
Excellent.
right now the focus is on, you know, growing TJ Davies, and then, you know, within slowly develop that property. So that way, I mean, because I want my core to always be TJ Davies, always be
Sure.
the retention knobs.
Sure.
So,
So
but we
Sherry,
love our building.
what's that?
We love our building. It
Yeah.
is so nice.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's an
Oh,
inspiring space to be in,
thank you.
So, to stay there until 7 o'clock at night, maybe, you got your dogs over there. It's like a
Yeah.
second home. So,
Yeah, I've got 4 of them with me today. So
oh my gosh. So Sherry, before we leave, tell the audience how they can get in touch with you or get in touch with TJ Davies, learn more about the company,
sure.
order retention knobs.
Yeah. Well, if you call, I can give you any, you know, tell me where you're located, and I can get you to one of our distributors that are like a local distributor to you, or somebody you may already use. Our website is www.tjdavies.com, or the email is sales@tjdavies.com, or you can call us at 440-248-5510.
Outstanding. I'll put all that information into the comments too. Sherry, I appreciate the time. This was awesome. And
It's an honor to be on your show, Chris.
yeah,
I've
well,
been looking
thank
forward to
you.
this for a while.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, have a great 2023. I'm sure we'll speak many times along the way, and we'll catch up real soon.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
You got it. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Real Estate Machine Show.